about the phases of play that we will be looking at, and essentially what we'll be looking to improve in each phase a little bit, but also how we can actually bring this progression phase a lot more front and center into how we play our football, and how we make sure that we get far more chances on goal, but also high quality chances. So you might have seen this actually defined differently by different coaches. I like to define it in this way: final third or attacking third progression. For me, this is very important and something that we're a little bit lacking. And so we're going to try and work on that, and we'll give you a bit of ideas of what to look for. And then build up or defensive. So we're kind of treating this as defensive at the moment. And again, going to sing the praises of not just the goalkeeper, but our defensive line have been so fucking solid this season. It's been great. But you will see us transitioning a little bit more as well into how we can make this a bit more of a build-up passage of play as well. So beating that front line, their striker and maybe some wingers or two strikers, and how we can make sure that this is really productive and bring our defenders really good defensive work rate also into part of our attacking plays as well. So today I wanted to talk about quite a bit about in possession, or what we kind of want to do when we get the ball or win the ball. And when we break it into these three passages of play, we look for these three things as kind of our main parts of what we want to be doing. So generally, when we're in the, again, this is in possession, we're trying to move the ball wide. So we do get a lot of clearances from our back line, which is definitely justified. We'll talk to that in a second. But as we get closer to being more confident on the ball and actually moving through that passage of play, a lot of the time it'll be from our wide players. That's where you'll tend to find you have the most space. Your fullbacks should have heaps of space out here, because generally they'll press in 2 or 3, and that's where we can progress and move around them. It's going to look in a sec. Midfield, as we always say, and something was a kind of our ethos, or one of those principles we talked about last year, is just being available, making sure every single player, whenever they get the ball, has a short pass. And in midfield, all the time, that's those lateral passes. And when I say midfield, I don't just mean the 3 in midfield that we have centrally. I mean someone that's come in to assist that. That can be our wingers coming back, it could be our forward coming back. Hashani did amazingly by coming up and being available as a left back, or when we bring one of our right backs in and they tuck in as an inverted midfielder, inverted fullback. And then up front, the patience has been really good, and looking to make sure we're overloading. I think something we're doing a lot is we're trying to bypass this midfield a little bit, or this middle segment, and get up front. And then we're essentially trying to take on 2 or 3 players by ourselves, or not having that support that we'd have if we were a little bit more patient and actually moved up further as a unit. We do this really well when we have done that, but a lot of the time it's against teams that haven't been able to break down our possession, and it's not sustained enough in each attack that we do, because we try and progress through this phase really quickly, just because we see those danger players making runs, and we see those opportunities or half opportunities, where I want to turn that into opportunities that are full opportunities and good at attacking plays every time. A really good example of this is that at the second half against Coogee, we started really strong, and for about 20 minutes we had them pinned back in that attacking phase, and we were very patient. We had a lot of good chances. We were unlucky not to score, but we were playing really well into the strengths of this phase of play. So bear that in mind. We did it quite a bit on Sunday as well. All right. So yeah, defensive third. As we said, we're going to, in possession, be looking a bit more to sort of look for those midfielders, look for those passes rather than clearances. Not to say clearances aren't bad, and I'll give you some demonstrations of when a clearance is. So you're boxed in, maybe going away from goal. We're always happy to clear, if not even clear out for a throw, to let our players get back. Or if you see that they're pressing really well, they're blocked off. So you can see here, they've got that kind of a little curtain of cover for these players, so this pass can't actually make it there. Even this is a very risky pass, so yeah, boot that out, clear it, totally fine. Again, if you're deep into our own half and we can't see a clear option, yeah, clearance for sure. If these open up a little bit and we see someone pressing the line and someone coming from this way, the centre back's over here, there will be opportunities where we start looking at, hey, can we actually make that pass? I'm not going to lie, it's a high risk pass, and it's a pass that takes a lot of courage. But if we do this, all of a sudden these two players are completely out of play. If our players have moved up, we've got our centre back, our defensive mid, and our right back, without even needing to do anything else, we've got an overload everywhere on the pitch just because these two players aren't going to recover. And generally, pressing players will have a lot of intensity for that press. And then generally, I'm not going to say this is all the time, especially because when we start working on pressing, I want you to all track back once the press has kind of failed. But generally, if we can make that pass here, we'll keep possession. When we make a clearance, and I'm not saying, again, clearances definitely have their time. And I've been very happy with the clearances that the backline are making. But we generally have if we're lucky, it'll go to a 50-50 up further up the park. But generally, it'll go to their players because they'll have more players back. Generally, you will keep your two centre backs and maybe a full back up. And we will only keep one or two players up, and then one will be high and wide. So we always, if we can play out, that's always our preference. But we'll work on that a bit later in the season as well. In that attacking phase, we're doing really well here. We're keeping that, maintaining that width really well. We're making sure that our midfielders can actually come in and affect the game. We want to be exploiting these channels a little bit more. So making sure that when we've got these scenarios, we can actually play through or run through ourselves when we get the ball. Something, again, that we did really well on the weekend was using this fullback or looking back. I've said it to all of our wingers that it's generally we want to be sort of squaring up and almost looking this way. So this way or this way are both equally viable, and that defender can't actually block one path. They have to wait for us to make that move. When coming back inside, totally fine. Coming up, fine. But a lot of the time, if we can pass back, and Hashani did it perfectly by coming supporting, showing that composure, getting the midfield. The next step from this is ball comes down here into midfield. We're making that running behind. Generally, the thing that you'll find is when this player has the ball and passes it here, this defender's going to go. They kind of have to. They might not come like fully down, but they'll eventually they'll change, their body shape will shift, and you can just essentially tuck in. And there'll always be that run. Not always, but very often you'll see that run. We saw it a bit on the wing. Celeste was doing really well of playing that back, getting that composure, and then making that run. If we can make that run quickly, we'll always see that the midfielders will always be looking at that. These little units or these little triangles that we create in the final third are vital. It's what we really want to do to make sure that we're keeping possession and actually making those high quality situations and scenarios. So attacking third, again, we'll get to this more in the later of the pitch because I want to get to a scenario where we're doing this a lot more and compressing the opposition. But again, the one area that I think where we need to work on a little bit more, or at least acknowledge that we should be spending more time here, is this progression phase or the middle third. So as you can see here, we're doing quite well in like moving the ball through here. Our wingers have been doing a lot better, especially the last games, to look inside and look for those midfielders. We're finding that they're really, really available all the time. And if we actually stagger it, so say, for example, the ball comes out here to our right wing, one of those centre mids, Sahanya generally likes to make that early run to come up and be a little option here. One centre mid, because they'll be the centre mid that doesn't see any other midfielders, will actually go close for a really short pass. That defensive mid, Alberto again is doing this really well of making sure that this area, this danger zone for their attacks, but also is available for that back pass as well. So every winger should have 3 really nice lateral passes. Lateral passes from defenders, especially defenders that aren't more astute or like tactically aware, they generally aren't covered. You'll see your defenders always kind of do this. And I'm not saying it's necessarily bad, but we're often trying to play this ball. We're usually playing it to a forward that's kind of in this channel. This is a really hard ball to play. And even if it does land, it has landed a few times, we're still too far from goal for it to be a goal threat. We haven't seen in the 5 games we've played, we've never seen someone in the progression phase play a ball from a wing into that front player and actually get a shot on goal. We've done it a lot. We've played that pass a lot. And don't get me wrong, it's because we're getting really good runs from Jones, Sahanya. We generally get a really nice run in here. But remember that run is almost always a decoy run. We're pulling the back line to create space, this half space in between the opposition's midfield and defense. And that's what that run's all about. If it is going to come, if we do get those sort of like nice looking passes, it's fine. And if we do kind of, again, make this run into this channel, that's also fine. But remember, we're still in this middle section. If we're anywhere near that middle circle, we need to play the ball around more. The reason we're doing that is because we want to progress the team up effectively as a unit. And so we want to make sure that we're all getting there. As soon as we play this ball up into this channel and try and hope that our forward gets a hold of it and is able to make an attacking shot, everyone else is just, they're not part of play. As soon as it goes to your striker and you're still stuck near the halfway line, you're essentially out of it. And it's just our striker or one of our wingers maybe trying to take on their whole back line. We want to get to that scenario where, like this, we've got players around here. We're looking at this half space, and by half space, I mean this space between the two lines of attack and defense, yeah? So see how this is their midfielders. They generally have another winger down here, another winger over here. Or even if they do have three in midfield, it'll be kind of like this. And this space is where we exploit. I want our centre mids to be able to come up here with confidence that we've got the ball because we're playing it around in our nice little triangles, and they can make those penetrating passes, yeah? And our striker can actually go, yep, I know I can make this run, stand off this one, get the ball into my feet here, take a touch and have a shot. But we need to do that. We need to understand that these high quality attacking scenarios come from the hard work that we do in midfield. And when the way we're going to do that is, again, just those lovely little triangles, having that striker push the back line, then come back, push the back line, come back into midfield, be an option. Whenever we're in here, Laney and Jones, you have been picking up this up really well, so I don't want to sound like I'm harping on about you two doing a great job in that number 9 role, but we need to make sure that when we're in this section, yes, there is a chance every now and then when someone makes a nice run to break a line, but we want to build it up here. We want to build up, bring our players up, and make sure that we can actually compress those the oppositions up that way. Yeah. So look from the last slide, what we're doing here is adding a striker in, left back. That can also be the right back coming in. The defensive mid comes across. You've got another player here, and we're just playing those triangles. We're doing it really well. We're keeping possession really well in midfield. We're not just outnumbering the team, but other teams, we're outplaying them. And I promise you, if you keep an eye out, especially if you're off the pitch for a second, watch when we play through midfield. We have such better attacking plays. And it's just because we're getting numbers up. Remember, the overloadings are kind of the backbone of what we're trying to do here. Cool. Hopefully that wasn't too long, and it does make sense. Please give me any questions, and we can go from there. Yep, that's pressing. That's later on. Cool. Thanks, team. Keep tropical.